Welcome to 69 South, where we cuss and discuss true crime, current events, and hot topics, along with our state of society today. This is your trigger warning. Our podcast content is produced for viewers and listeners 18 years of age or older. We discuss topics that may be triggering to some listeners, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. Welcome back, everybody, to 69 South Podcast. I'm Chop. I'm going to be your host for the evening, and with me always is my beautiful co-host, Julie. How are you doing today, babe?
I'm good.
Well, just when you think that Brittany Fortinberry has had enough charges and poor Patrick Williams has done enough investigating and we knew everything, the shit comes out tenfold.
Yes, it does. This is crazy. It's not funny. And this stuff is in this probable cause is like the last stuff was child's play compared to this. I mean, it's all bad. It's all on the same level, but it just seems like the stuff in this is so egregious and outrageous. Now, this probable cause affidavit is talking about the 24 charges that were just dropped on her. And here's what they are.
Is that 24 new charges?
24 new charges on top of the previous ones she had in the current case and the case from Eminence. So the charges are 9 counts of child molestation, a level 1 felony, and then there's another child molestation charge, 1 count, a level 4 felony, sexual misconduct with a minor, a level 1 felony, and then dissemination of matter harmful to a minor, 8 counts, and contributing to the delinquency of a minor, 5 counts.
I think her and P. Diddy's in a dead heat on some shit.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean,
she's the Diddy of Indiana.
Yeah, she's the
the diddler,
Miss Diddy,
the Martinsville diddler.
That's horrible.
Okay, well I'm like procrastinating on getting into this because it's so gross.
Let's just jump right into it then, because there's a lot to get to.
Okay, so on February 24th, 2025. The detective had the opportunity to interview another parent that came forward. This was in regards to the ongoing investigation of Brittany Fortinberry. So a parent had seen what was going on, and she reached out to the detective and said that she had information relating to Brittany. So I first interviewed this parent about the information that she or her child may have had, prompting them to come speak to the detective. Now, I asked the parent to tell me about how she became aware of the stuff with the victim. The parent said she used to be friends with Brittany, and that's how he knew Brittany. The parent said that she became friends with Brittany in 2022. She said at the time she was going through a divorce and Brittany was very helpful. Brittany would help with the kids. She started to notice that it wasn't the same with one child as it was with her other 2 children. She said that Brittany bought things for the victim and that these were things that she wasn't able to get him, and Brittany went out and purchased them, and they were around $300. Brittany was always doing this, and it became uncomfortable. So we said that she wasn't going to be hanging around anybody anymore in the family. Now, after that, Brittany added the victim on Snapchat. And when she became aware of her snapping the victim all the time, she asked him to block her. Now, the parent said that he added her on another app after he had blocked her from the Snapchat, but said that she didn't know what that app was.
She also said that the victim saw everything that had come up in the Eminence case. She said that she had pulled him into her room and asked him to be 100% honest with her. She said she asked the victim in the past and was told no, and said that she asked him again because others were coming forward. She said that the victim started to cry and said, yes, she did. She said that he told her Brittany sent her pictures, videos of her using vibrators, having threesomes with other men, intercourse with other men, and said these were in a group chat on Snapchat. She said that the victim also told her 2 instances of being drugged with shrooms and weed, and that she would make him drink a bottle. She continued saying that the victim told her that Brittany told her that it was water, that the victim said it definitely wasn't water. She continued saying that the victim told her it tasted like alcohol. After he drank it, he couldn't remember anything.
She said that Brittany would also peer pressure the victim and others. She further said that Brittany would buy them whatever they wanted or needed, vapes and weed. She said that the victim told her that he never took any shrooms, but knew that some of the others would take them home in white pill bottles. She said that the victim would take a pill with shrooms and weed in it. She continued talking about how the victim told her that Brittany would put the shrooms on a peanut butter sandwich so they couldn't taste them. She also talks about a gangbang between 2 other boys and the victim.
The victim also mentioned to the mother that if they didn't want to have intercourse with her, that she would force them to watch her from the doorway. The mother also talks about another incident that the victim shared about Brittany picking up the victim and another boy from Foxcliff. Foxcliff is a really nice neighborhood around Martinsville, in case you weren't aware of it. She then took the victims back to her house, disconnected the cameras outside, took the victim into the garage, and had sex with him. The victim also shared with the mother of a video that Brittany had sent him that displayed Brittany taking his boxers and shoving them inside her. The mother says another video was sent to the victim of Brittany masturbating to the victim's school pictures. The mother says that her husband also knew about the things and threatened to slaughter the victim in front of her if he ever came forward. The victim had told his mother that Nick had actually said that, Nick being Nick Fortinberry, the husband of Brittany. The mother went on saying that Nick did approach the victim while they were in the van and knew of the situation and that it needed to stop until he was of age, how disgusting the situation was, and essentially he blamed the victim for it.
The mother mentions if we could get into the victim's old phone, that there was stuff on there. She said she wasn't sure how we would, and explained that the victim had to get a new phone because his old one had issues with the battery, preventing it from turning on. She said her and I talked for a few minutes longer, and the interview was concluded. And then I interviewed the victim, and here's a summary of that interview.
The victim says that Brittany was friends with his mother, and that's how he became acquainted with her. The victim also says that Brittany had a son that he became friends with as well. The victim said he started going over there a lot after that. He also said he was 13 when he met Brittany. He said he remembers he was 13 because it was last year and he is 14 now. He said that he is in 8th grade and attends Wooden Junior High. He said he was in 7th grade when he met Brittany, and Brittany's son was in 6th grade.
He talks about going over there all the time. He says that Brittany would snap him all the time. She would have him come in her room when her son went to bed, and that when her husband left for work, she would always have him in her room. He said this was when he was there staying the night with her son. So she's having these boys pretend or be friends with her son so she can get them over to her house. How diabolical is this?
It's some calculated shit, and it just gets nothing but worse.
So after that, he said that Brittany would always make him food and would buy him anything he wanted. He said that Brittany would buy him vapes, weed, and THC carts. He said that Brittany found that he used vapes and would tell him that she could get them for him. He said that she would get these from the Marathon gas station.
The victim said that Brittany would ask him to bring his friends out there and would give them shroom capsules. He said Brittany would give them 4 of them. They would make him feel funny, and she would take control of them from there. He said that Brittany told them what was in the capsules, and that is how they knew that it was shrooms. He said that Brittany would wait about 45 minutes to an hour after they took the shrooms, would grab their arms, start moving them, and touching herself with them. The victim said when Brittany grabbed their arms and that she would have them touch her vagina. He said this happened to everyone that was there. He said there was a total of 4 people in there when this happened. He said that Brittany would use peer pressure to get them to do what she wanted them to do and to take the shrooms. He said when Brittany would grab their arms, she would say, "Just let it happen." Man, she's a freak. So she's not only doing this to one kid, she's having freaking house parties with children.
No shame at all.
Getting them doped up like she's in a porn movie with boys that are barely reaching puberty.
So he said that Brittany would take her sons to bed, lock the doors, come back to the room, put on a movie, and get on top of them. He said when she got on top of them, she would have them play with her boobs and rub on her. He clarified, saying this was a time that he was just staying there the night with her son. He said that Brittany would have him rub on her arms, stomach, near her waist, and played with her boobs. He said this was the first incident in which things occurred with Brittany. He said this happened in July of 2024. I would advise that the victim clarified later in the interview that this actually had occurred in July of 2023. He said this was when Brittany first started hanging out with kids.
He also talks about the next time something happened. He said it was a couple months later. He said Brittany took him and a friend out to eat. He said when they got back from eating that Brittany wanted him to tell his friend that she wanted to fuck him. The victim said that he told her no, that was weird. He said that Brittany ended up just asking the other victim herself. He told his friend that she would buy him shrooms, a cart, if he did it, and he did it. He said that when they went to eat, it was in Indianapolis area to a sushi place. He said when they were done eating, when they came back, that it was to Brittany's house. He continued saying that when they came back to her house, that Brittany had pulled his friend into another room in the house and asked him about having sex. He said that after this, Brittany made the other victim watch while Brittany and his friend had sex. He said he also was to make sure no one came down the stairs, so she was using them as lookouts too. He said that they did it for about 30 minutes, and after they were finished, Brittany took them all out to eat at the Waffle House. He said that after that, she bought his friends the shrooms, carts, and took them home where they went to bed. He said nothing happened with himself during this incident other than having to watch Brittany have sex with his friend.
He talks about the next time something happened. He said that they picked up him and 2 of his friends. He said Brittany asked them if they wanted to go to the mall. He said they told her yes, and she bought them all $600 worth of clothes and shoes. Said that Brittany took them to the Bloomington Mall. Said that Brittany took them all back to her house and that Brittany called their parents to see if they could stay the night. He said that Brittany gave them more shrooms and that Brittany turned on a movie, and about 30 minutes into this movie, Brittany asked one of his friends if they wanted to gangbang her. He continued saying his friend said, sure. He said that Brittany had one condition for them to have a gangbang with her, and that was that they had to wear a scream mask to fuck her. He said they all participated in the gangbang and said that one of them would fuck Brittany, the other would get head, and the last would get to use one of her husband's sex toys while they were waiting. He said that they all went in rotation. They would rotate every 15 minutes. It went on for about 2 hours, and they had 4 different rotations. I clarified, asking if that meant 4 times having sex with her, 4 times getting a blowjob, 4 times using the toys, and he said yes. He described the sex with Brittany as back shots. And he described that as putting his dick in her pussy.
We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, this is Chop from 69 South, man. While we're taking a little break, get up, get yourself something to drink, grab yourself a plate of food. But hey, look up shopcitadjules.com, man. Pick up one of our badass 69 South t-shirts. A portion of the proceeds goes to victims, and it helps support our show. Help keep the lights on here in the studio. We thank you all so much for listening. Everybody, just take it easy and enjoy life. That's what it's all about. He said he was 13 and it was last year. Now, that almost sounds like, that's almost funky to read. That's almost like a weird rap song. You know what I'm saying? Like she had these boys rotating on a timer. 4 of them.
I'm speechless.
And the one that was actually having sex with her had to put one of them white scream masks on, where it looks like the white face is melting. That's horrible. I mean, it's weird. It's strange.
Something's wrong. That's why. So
he said there was another incident when he was 14 years old. He said he remembers that he was 14 because it was his 14th birthday. He said that he was staying at his friend's house. He said that Brittany added him on Snapchat. He thought it was weird because he thought she was in jail. She started texting him. He said that he asked Brittany if she was in jail, and she told him no. He said that Brittany asked him if he and his friend wanted to come over to her house. He added that Brittany told him that she would get them vapes and a bunch of food. He said that they went. He said that when they got to her house, she made his friend stay in the car. He continued saying that Brittany disconnected the camera on the garage, took him in the garage, and locked the door. He said that Brittany gave him a clear water bottle, and he thought it was alcohol. He said Brittany told him to drink it. He said that he got real dizzy and felt like he was floating. He continued saying that Brittany sat him in the chair, pulled down his pants, and said the last thing he remembers was her getting on top of him. He said that he does remember Brittany putting his dick in her pussy. He said from what he remembers, Brittany touched his dick for like 5 minutes, put his dick in her pussy, and started bouncing up and down on it. He said this took place on August 17th, 2024. He said that he has a picture of him in his friend's room and the clothes he was wearing. It was his friend's birthday party weekend, and that is what helps him remember exactly when this happened.
he said this was the last incident with Brittany. I then reviewed the incidents that he had shared with me. He talked about how Brittany would make group chats on Snapchat, send them nudes, ask them if they wanted her to pick them up and go with her to do stuff. He said that Brittany would send photos of her tits, videos of her stuffing their boxers in her pussy, and other videos of her having sex with other men. He said that Brittany would send nudes just to him, tell him to save them to his phone, and Brittany would tell him that she would masturbate to his school pictures and said he would shower there the night before school and leave his boxers there, and that this is how she had them. He said Brittany had added him on Snapchat different times and on different accounts. He said the snap Brittany used were Dogs Go to Hell and Saint Marie. He said that Brittany knew how old he was from the friendship Brittany had with his mom.
Just when you think you've heard it all about Mrs. Fortinberry, she's sending videos to these boys of her sticking their underwear inside of her and massurbating with that.
She had to know she was going to get caught.
She was like, that
These
is
are kids.
bold. I mean, surely, she's a math teacher. I mean, she can't be.
She's got a master's degree.
So she's not retarded.
Well,
but I mean, how
debatable.
can you be so bold? And then going back to Mr. Fortinberry, this victim said, and the victim's mother said, that he addressed that when they were in the van right in front of her, saying that this needed to stop.
Well, the victim's mother wasn't there. It was the victim and Brittany in the van together. And I guess Nick had come out and said something to them together that it was not right and it needed to stop. Well, at least he said it wasn't right, but he should have taken action is what he should have done.
Absolutely. You know, I wonder, I'm pretty sure they have her in a block in the jail. I wonder how the other females in the block are treating her. I mean, because there's mothers in there, and they got to be like,
And I'm sure the people they've talked to on the outside have informed them of, hey, there's this inmate that's in there.
Oh, there's no way in hell that they don't know exactly who she is and what she's in there for. And right. I believe I said this on the previous episode of Brittany's episodes, but could you imagine if this was a man raping 13 and 14-year-old girls? I mean, it would just be so different. The men in the block they'd have to isolate that dude because they'd already killed this dude for some shit like that. It's strange how I know mothers are listening to me right now and saying, bullshit, we want to kill her too. You know what I mean? But it's just the way society is. It's weird. It's odd. It's the same amount of evil either way.
Absolutely. Now, the victim said that Brittany's husband knew about the things that were going on. He said that he and a friend went with Brittany to get groceries at Walmart. He said that Brittany's husband got home from his firefighting job and pulled Brittany outside to talk with her while they were putting away the groceries. He said that Brittany's husband had him and his friend come outside to talk to him. He said that Brittany sat in the van and smoked a cigarette. He said that Brittany's husband, Nick, talked to them about not telling anybody, and if they did, that he would kill them in front of their family. He clarified more on the conversation with Brittany's husband, saying that he said not to tell anyone what they were doing to his wife or he would kill them in front of their family. So he wanted to reiterate exactly what he said. He said that after that, he would give them dirty looks. He said that Brittany told them afterwards that they better not tell anybody. He said that Brittany's husband also told them to wait until they were 16. Wow. He said this happened around the time the gangbangs took place. He identified Brittany's husband as Nick.
The detective then goes on to say that he talked to the victim more about how he communicated with Brittany. He said that he also used an app called Session. There's another one that I've never heard
of it either.
Another app that people are doing this crazy shit on. He said this was an app Brittany also sent him nudes on. He said it's a private app, and if you want to talk to someone on it, that they would have to send you a code, and it would put you in a private room. He said it is all through codes and you can't make usernames. He said you have to know the person and physically talk to them to get the codes. He said he thinks they started using that app in August of 2023. He said that there is a vanish mode on the app. He said that Brittany controlled that. He said that the vanish mode was always on. He said that once you click on a picture or a video, when you went off of it, it would go away.
While going over the incidents, we revisited the gangbang. He said that the person who was doing Brittany would wear the scream mask. He also mentioned that Brittany had shared that if any of this came out, that she would kill herself. He said that Brittany told this to others that she had been with as well. He also clarified on the threat he got from Nick. He said Brittany told the victim that if anyone found out, that Nick would slaughter him in front of his family. He said about a couple of weeks after Brittany told him this, that Nick made the threat to him. He also described the layout of the home, which I would advise is consistent with what others have disclosed and from my own experience during my involvement in the case.
The detective then talked to the mother for a few more minutes, and then the interview was concluded. Now, on February 25th, 2025, the detective had the opportunity to speak with another parent and another victim. He spoke with the parent first, who is obviously the victim's mother, and this is the summary of the interview with the parent as follows.
So the mother said that her child had been friends with the first victim that we just talked about. These boys have been friends for about 4 years, and they have played a variety of sports together and became really good friends. Now, the mother said that the first victim's mom had shared with her about all the things she had learned about Snapchat and everything that had been going on there. She said from what she found out that Brittany was at baseball games of the boys. And she also mentions a time that Brittany picked up the boys from their house. She said that her son had information about an incident that happened to him in August of 2024.
She said that her son said that he felt like something was wrong when he was getting things sent to him via Snapchat. She said that her son didn't want to get in trouble or get his buddy in trouble. She said from what her son told her that there was a group chat on Snapchat with him and the other victim, that they received pictures and videos, and in regards to the incident in August of 2024, she said he shared that they were picked up late at night and believes they were picked up in their neighborhood. She also talked about him sharing that he sat in the car at a location where Brittany had a garage. She said that he shared that this was because the other victim needed a phone charger, and there was another victim that was in the garage with Brittany for about 45 minutes. The detective spoke with her for a few more minutes and then spoke with the child. A summary of that interview is as follows.
He told me he was here because of an overage woman talking to minors, sending minors nudes, and wanting to meet with minors. He said she was wanting to give them vapes, alcohol, and stuff like that. He said the woman he is talking about is Brittany Fortinberry. He said that he became aware and knew Brittany from the other victims and said that one of the victims' mothers was friends with Brittany. He said that Brittany took them to the pool one time and had him add her on Snapchat in case he needed a ride again. He said that he thinks he met Brittany in July of 2024. He said he remembers this because he remembers going to the pool, and said that another victim told him to add her, and Brittany said that she would add him. He said that she did take the other victim and him to the Martinsville Park pool.
He said that after Brittany added him on Snapchat and after they went to the pool, he said that at first it was just regular pictures of her, and then it went somewhat exposed, and then it went to all exposed pictures. He talks about how Brittany would send pictures of her breast exposed to him. He continued saying that he wouldn't snap anything back and would just ignore her. He said it was about a month after Brittany added him on Snapchat, and she started sending him pictures of her breast. He then talks about how Brittany made a group chat with another victim, and himself, and that Brittany overloaded them with nudes. He said she would send pictures of her being at a lake without a shirt on and of her on the stripper pole, sex toys, and her using them on herself. He said these would be pictures and videos. He said that she would send videos of her dancing on the stripper pole and of her masturbating. He said Brittany would send all kinds of videos using her sex toys on herself and of her using the sex toys on herself. He then talks about one night that Brittany came into his neighborhood in the middle of the night. Brittany had offered them food and vapes to come in the car with her. He said that this was all because one of the victims needed a charger. He said that Brittany took them to her house. He went in the garage with her, and he sat in the car for about an hour. He said that he doesn't know what happened to the other victim, but she later took them back to his neighborhood. He said that Brittany picked them up from the clubhouse parking lot in Foxcliff North. He said that Brittany picked them up either in a gray or white van. He said that it was between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. when she picked them up. He said that this was all arranged through another victim on his Snapchat. He said that he left the group chat after about 2 hours of being added in it. He said that when he was walking back to the car, he was stumbling, and when he got inside the car, that he looked at another victim like he didn't know who he was. He said that Brittany dropped him off, that Brittany told him that she loved him, and the victim told that Brittany had given him alcohol. He said that he did not share what happened between them in the garage. He said that the other victim has only shared with him about getting nudes from Brittany. He said that he doesn't think that Brittany knew how old he was, but knew he went to Wooden Middle School with two of the other victims. He said that the Snapchat account Brittany added him on was dogs, peaches, and a lemon emoji.
Wow, so that's 3 different accounts. So I just wondered this when you said that. So she's getting these kids drunk. Was she drinking too and then driving them around? I mean, you would, if she's getting them drunk, she's probably getting fucked up too. So yeah, she's probably out driving these kids around drunk on top of everything else that she's doing.
And, you know, everybody's been in Foxcliff, and there's cameras all around that clubhouse. I mean.
Oh, yeah, there is.
Every single house in there has cameras around it. I mean.
Foxcliff North and South.
Absolutely.
It's one of the most prestigious neighborhoods in Morgan County.
Absolutely it is. I mean, you say, hey, they live in Foxcliff, it kind of means something. It's kind of like
it's a very good neighborhood.
Absolutely. There's a lot of super nice people that live in there. And
we know a lot of people that live in there.
We sure do.
So
I bet these kids were scared to death. I mean,
for
one, it's probably a lot of she's feeding them mushrooms and alcohol, and they probably have no idea what the fuck is even going on.
Right. And then once they're in this situation, I mean, I could see the fear in having to tell your parents what's going on and, you know, what you've been doing. But then again, you have a teacher that's grooming these children these way. I mean, I bet they felt stuck both ways.
I bet, now that you say that, that was part of her angle with getting them high. You know what I mean? Oh, don't say anything. You'll have to tell. I mean, in her mind, she's thinking, if you tell, you're going to have to tell your mom that you're doing mushrooms and you're smoking weed vapes and smoking weed and sneaking out of your house at 1 o'clock in the morning.
She was using that as leverage.
Exactly. Guarantee she was.
We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, this is Chaw from 69 South. Are you ready to elevate your space with aromas that'll set the pace? Scented Jewels, Indiana's pride, with aromas you can't hide. The classic wax melts oh so fine, then squeezable melts, the scent so divine. Dazzle your senses and level up your vibe. Scented Jewels bring an aroma to your life. We use this in our studio and our home as we have teenage boys and pets. It makes our place smell so fine. Use promo code 69South for 10% off today. Shop Scented Jewels, luxury in every way. Head on over to Shop Scented Jewels. That is www.shopscentedjewels.com and get 10% off your order today. Thank you.
He then talked about a video that Brittany had sent him on Snapchat. He said that Brittany was having sex with her husband, Nicholas Fortinberry. He said that across the screen in text said, quote, "I wish you were having sex with me right now," end quote. He said that he knew it was her husband, Nick, because she was screaming Nick's name, and he verified it was her husband, Nick. He thinks that Brittany sent him that video about a month after the night that she had picked him up and the other boy up and took them back to her house. He also added that Brittany had Snapchat set to delete after viewing. He said that Brittany also followed him on TikTok almost immediately after they went to the pool. He said that Brittany also talked to another victim on an app called Session and said that the victim told him that she would talk to him on Session as well. So both boys would speak to her on this Session app. I then reviewed everything that the victim had shared with me. He also shared with me that the night that Brittany picked his friend and him up, that Brittany got them food before they went to her house from the Marathon gas station at the intersection of Rob Hill Road and State Road 67 at the Centerton gas station. He also mentioned that one of the victims was having difficulty walking when he came out of the garage and he was stumbling around. After this, the victim and I talked for a few more minutes and the interview was concluded.
On March 4th, 2025, the detective also interviewed Brittany's ex-husband and his current wife. He would advise that the ex-husband and Brittany also share a child together. And here is the summary of that interview as follows.
He made a report to DCS on 6/19/2024. He made that report after information regarding the treatment of his son was disclosed. He alleged abuse and also how his stepfather, Nicholas Fortinberry, was growing mushrooms in the residence. In the DCS report provided to me, it states that it was reported that Brittany had locked the child out of the home and that he had to sleep inside the garage. It was noted that the child was banging on the door trying to get in and could not. It further said that the garage is detached from the house and there was no bathroom in the garage. The report also mentions that Nicholas gets angry when he drinks. It further mentions that one incident, Nicholas ripped off a rear view mirror on Brittany's vehicle and at one point was kicking in the dashboard. It is also noted that Brittany has allegedly acknowledged the fact that Nicholas gets violent when he drinks and that Brittany has removed herself from the home when this happens.
We've actually seen this report, and it is true that they did report exactly what he told the detective.
Mm-hmm.
In regards to the mushrooms, it was reported to DCS that Nicholas was growing mushrooms in the basement. It was also reported that the children were not allowed to go near the room the mushrooms were being grown in. I would advise that this information is consistent with the other disclosures that the Fortinberrys were growing and had mushrooms in their residence. He also talked about an incident that happened when the boy was 2. He was with his babysitter playing with another boy. He was rolling a truck up and down the other boy's back. He continued doing it after being asked to stop. The babysitter said she asked the boy why he was doing that, and he said, "Toys going into your bottom." The babysitter asked why he thought that. He stated his mommy put a fire truck in his bottom.
Oh, my God.
What the? That shocked me for a second. I would advise that he was taken to the doctor after this, and the doctor noted in his findings that the victim's rectum appeared mildly irritated and red and had small tear in the 12 o'clock position. The father said this was reported to DCS as well. I don't think that I saw that in the DCS report myself.
I seen it.
The fire truck?
Or it didn't go into detail about what type of toy it was, I believe, but it did mention that situation with the babysitter and him speaking about a toy going in his bottom.
Here we go, another level, another shocker. I mean, no wonder she lost so much weight. She didn't have time to do anything else but do what she was doing to these children.
After the interview later that day, I was provided screenshots. One of the screenshot was a Facebook post made by Brittany. It was a picture of one of the victims with all of his new baseball equipment. Also consistent with a disclosure of Brittany buying him the baseball equipment. Another screenshot from Instagram. This was a picture of Brittany with, I believe, 2 victims and another child at the Gray Day concert. I would note that this was also consistent with other disclosures made. The last screenshot, also from Instagram, this was a picture of Brittany in the same outfit as the picture with the boys and also mentions the Gray Day concert. These will be attached to the files in the case. You know what this picture is? We have this picture on our Facebook. It is this picture where, she's got like a black outfit on, maybe with like a type of red top over it. It kind of looks like a stripper outfit. And it looks like she's in a stripper lounge or where the
it's like some big shoulder pad type outfit on. Is that the one?
No, it's another one. There's so many weird things with this woman.
And I've never even heard of Gray Day.
No, it's a concert, I guess. Now, I would also advise that a more detailed supplemental report will be added as I'm coordinating a forensic interview for said child. Now, also on March 4th, 2025, I interviewed another parent.
So just so we're all keeping track, in this PCA, this is the 3rd set of parents that is being interviewed.
Yes. Now, this mother said that she wasn't sure how her child's name was brought up initially and that she was contacted by DCS. She said that this would have been happening when she did notice some red flags. She said that there was another victim, I guess, and Brittany said that this was her nephew and he would hang out with her child. She said she didn't think there was anything sexual going on at the time and that Brittany would give them rides. She shared that Brittany had added her son on Snapchat and she was pulling her boobs out to him. And there was a time that she picked up a victim from the Baseball Diamonds, Artesian Little League, and that he was very messed up. She said that he told her Brittany had given him shrooms. She said he told her they never had sex and this was the extent of everything they had discussed. After finishing speaking with her, I was able to interview the next victim. A summary of that interview is as follows.
He said that he is here speaking with me about Brittany. He said that Brittany was a teacher. He knew her when she became a teacher and that he had heard a lot about her before she became a teacher. He said that he had Brittany as a math teacher. He said that Brittany was either so-and-so's aunt or another victim's mother's friend. He said that he thinks that he had Brittany as a teacher for either 1 or 2 trimesters. He said that Brittany was his teacher during his freshman year, and he thinks he was 15. He said that he knew Brittany outside of school. He said that he was introduced to Brittany through a buddy of another victim. He said he also introduced Brittany to him a few weeks after he knew about Brittany from a victim's buddy. He said this was before he had Brittany as a teacher. He said that he thinks one day it was 4 of them and a couple of others. Brittany picked them up from school and dropped them all off at one of the victims' houses. He said this was early in his freshman year.
He said there was a couple times that he saw Brittany at the pool. He talks about another time that Brittany took, I believe, 2 boys and him to Brittany's house. He said that they were messing around. He talks a little more about the layout of the house, which I would advise is consistent with what everybody else has disclosed. He then talks about how he and another victim helped Brittany set up her classroom.
That's part of her MO. Help the poor teacher.
We have a video of this classroom that was set up.
We do, and
sent into us.
There's actually a picture of mushrooms
hanging on her wall art in this video on our Facebook.
Listeners, we appreciate you hanging with us in here. There are so many victims and so many names redacted in this PCA. It looks like a freaking Tetris game. He said that he only went to Brittany's house the one time. He said that in the bedroom downstairs, there was a big box of dildos in a drawer. He said that he picked up this big orange one and was chasing him around with it.
So one of his friends must have picked it up and was chasing him around with it, like trying to be funny.
He said that Brittany was there but wasn't downstairs with them. He talks about shelves with shiny mushroom decorations. He talks about Brittany growing mushrooms and keeping them somewhere out back of the house. He talks about him getting mushrooms and him getting mushrooms 3 different times from her.
I bet you, look, it's this spring, and if there's as many mushrooms as I've heard there is in these people's backyard, they're going to have the DEA out there digging up all these mushrooms.
I want to think, like, these mushrooms don't grow like morel mushrooms. I've always heard like they grow under like cow patties or something. I don't know why I think that.
I'd be scared to death to get any mushrooms like that out of Indiana. Have you seen? They got this white mushroom. It's called the death mushroom.
The mushroom of death. Yes.
Some lady up in northern Indiana tried to kill her husband, and she did.
She did. I remember that case.
Kill him, and she mixed up these mushrooms in his dinner and fed them to him, and yeah, they found him dead.
And he died.
And then she almost got away with it, but something had got caught. But anyway, back to what we're talking about.
He said the first times he got mushrooms from Brittany that he had her park away from his house and got mushrooms from her. He said that they didn't really do anything. He said the second time Brittany gave them to him in the car with her and he ate them later. He says the third time he met Brittany down at the ball fields and got mushrooms from her. He said the third time Brittany's son had a game at the ball fields and he met her there for them. So she wasn't only doing all this molestation, she was basically dealing drugs to these kids. He says he thinks for the first time he got shrooms from Brittany was around 11/3 of 23. The second time he couldn't exactly remember the date, and the third time was May 10th, 2024.
You know, we've also been told by some of our listeners that they would see Brittany down at the Ball Diamonds and her own child would be having a baseball game and she would decline to watch their baseball game and say, oh, well, these other boys don't have no support. So I'm going to go watch them, and wouldn't rather go watch these other boys than her own child play ball.
We've heard that from more than
one person, yeah.
Absolutely. He said that he communicated with Brittany through Snapchat. He said that he kind of just stopped talking to her and eased away from her. He said that he would call her sometimes to see if she could buy him a vape, could give her money or mushrooms. He said he steered her away from doing anything intimate with her. He said occasionally Brittany would give him 10 or 15 bucks.
He said there were flags that Brittany would be flirtatious with him and would never directly say anything to him. He said it was hard to describe how Brittany was flirtatious with him, that you could just tell. He said there was one time he had called Brittany to ask for money, and while on the phone with her on a video call, Brittany pulled her boobs out. He said this was during a time that 2 other victims were on the French Lick trip. He said that Brittany just left her boobs out while they engaged in normal conversation. I remember this French Lick trip because they were talking about she just had surgery and she had her coochie lips cut off.
That was the surgery, and one of the boys was real sick, and they left right before.
No, Nick was sick when he got down there. Yes, Nick showed up and he got sick and then left instantly.
Now, on March 5th, 2025, the detective interviewed the 4th set of parents and victim.
Now, this parent had said that someone had mentioned another student's name. She said someone from DCS had reached out to her to see if it was okay to speak with this victim at school. She said in the past she had asked her son if Brittany was doing anything to him or trying to sleep with him. He said no. She said her mom thought it was weird that she had all these teenage boys around her all the time, and talks about Brittany's kids are little and not sure why she has all these teenagers over. She said Brittany was taking them to baseball, to concerts. She bought one victim an iPhone and she bought him baseball stuff. She said that Brittany called her one night and told her that she didn't want her to think that she was stepping on her toes or thinking that she was doing stuff where the parents couldn't provide for the child. She said that Brittany told her that the child was a big help with the boys and that she was just able to do it. And Jody said that she felt torn, probably because she wanted her son to have nice stuff, and she thought this was a nice teacher trying to help out or whatever.
I mean, yeah, to this parent's defense, I mean, who in their right mind would think that a teacher would be doing this type of shit? I mean, most of these people at first, there was mommy gut feelings here, but I mean, it's just outrageous.
Like something's weird. I'm sure that's all the further inkling that they really had, because their kids are not going to open up and tell them about what's going on.
Well, all of us had a mom, and moms do have gut feelings, and 90%, 99.9%, they're pretty much right.
Yeah. Well, she continued on in saying that Brittany had came over to pick up her son, and that Brittany had this little dress on and didn't think that she had any bra on, and the way that she was acting around her, that her gut, that something was going on here. She said that she told her son he wasn't allowed back over there. Now she talks about Brittany leaving Martinsville, then was stripping, and then she went to Eminence.
Everybody, we're going to have to wrap this episode of the Fortinberry saga up tonight so we can get this out to you. There will be another episode of the rest of the PCA dropped tomorrow.
Yep, at 7 p.m. And we've also found some other interesting facts in this case. Since we've been investigating the Fortinberrys, we have found out that Nicholas Fortinberry has connections with Rowan Waters. And if nobody knows who Rowan Waters is, or Roan Waters, he is the man charged with the death of Oakley Snow, the little girl that was found in the dresser in Morgan County.
It was the Morgan Monroe State Forest. She was found in the winter, I think, in a dresser drawer.
Yeah, her mom's name was Madison Marshall, and she took the kids in the middle of the night from Oklahoma and brought them to Indianapolis, and they wasn't taking care of her, and I guess he ended up killing her, allegedly.
And
He's getting ready to go to trial for it, too.
We will fill you on how we figured that out and what the connection is tomorrow on the episode. But meanwhile, look us up on Facebook.
X, TikTok, YouTube, we're on all of them. So you can find us pretty much anywhere. And we'll be back with you tomorrow night.
Yeah, help us keep the lights on if you like what we're doing here on 69 South, and go get you a badass T-shirt. You can see the T-shirts on Facebook, and, you'd probably look good in one too.
We sold out of our first set,
Absolutely.
and we just got our second set in, so that's been exciting and cool. And we just want to thank all of our listeners and followers. You guys have been amazing.
Now, be sure to stick around tomorrow for this other second part of the PCA, because there is a whole lot of crazy shit to get to, and it's going to blow your mind as well.
We are only halfway through this. We still have about another 10 pages, or if that, to go.
And if you think you've heard it all and you're shocked, you ain't really heard shit yet. So until then, we want you to have a good evening,
A good night.
a good morning tomorrow, or whatever.